In November of 1986, Bobby Staley and I were in our men's class at the Casey First Baptist Church, and we got to discussing that there was so many kids in town that would not be getting toys for Christmas. And so we talked it over and mentioned it to the men, and then mentioned it to the church, and before the day was over, we had cash. And so Bobby and I started buying toys. By the time Christmas got there, we had enough toys to supply the names that the individuals had given us to deliver to, and so we took that. And we did that 2 years in a row, and then after 2 years we noticed that they needed food also, so they'd have a nice Christmas dinner. So we started taking food and toys, and which we were going to Hazeldale and Casey and Westfield and many out in the country, and also into Martinsville. Bobby and I had been to Hazeldale and Casey and Westfield and Martinsville, and we ended up, and we still had food left and bicycles. And so we stopped at Randy Bennett's in Martinsville, which was in our class at church, and told him what we had. And he said, I think I've heard of somebody that actually needs some help. And we headed south of Martinsville, out in the country, and we drove and drove and drove. Finally got on this old dirt road, and we got to the end of the road, and there was this trailer out in the country. And so I walked up to the house and tapped on the door, and this lady come to the door, and I think her eyes got about that big around. And I walked in, and there's 3 little bitty kids there. And the grandmother stood there and told me that their parents had got killed the month before, and she was taking care of the kids. And they weren't going to get any toys because she couldn't afford to buy any for them. So Bobby and Randy started bringing the food and the toys in the house, and those kids, they was still hugging me, and we started crying. All of us were crying. And she said, guys, I know exactly what Christmas means to me now. And this is the main reason why we do this today, because we don't want any kids to do without at Christmas time. From that point, we sent a letter to churches in Westfield and Casey, and we ended up with 10 churches. And that's how our income is coming in now. That and many, many, many individuals donate money and toys to us. And like at the Popcorn Festival down at the park, the Wabash Rodders Car Club, they had like 191 cars last year. And so the money that they bring in, they donate that to me, which that is our fund. And it's many dollars that we end up with. Approximately 8 to 10 years ago, Bobby Staley's health went downhill, and so he dropped out. And so my granddaughter, Kelsey Washburn, is now helping us. And Kelsey was on the Casey Police Department. She's the first lady that was ever a policeman in Casey. And so Kelsey had been routing our buses since she started, and we are real efficient now, because when we go down the road, we just go right one house to the other instead of backtracking so many times. And so it makes us a lot more efficient, and we can get a lot more people taken care of in a quicker time. After we get done that night, we meet in the Baptist church, and we fellowship together and say how much we enjoyed the evening and how much we can do it better the next year. And so it makes a wonderful evening. I have a letter that the lady that we went to that's got the 3 little kids, and she sent it to the church to give to me, and I've carried it in my Bible. It's been in my Bible ever since the day that I got it, and it's still going to be there when I get back home tonight.
The founder of softball in Casey would be Ted Anderson. In about 1937, Ted organized a team called the Red Onion Team, and it was a tavern. They also decided to have a league, and he organized that league. They wanted to play night ball, but of course at that time there wasn't any lights. So Ted, from his own expense, put lights in at the southeast corner of Casey Fairview Park, and it's still there. It's now called the John Winnett Stadium. That is his grandson. And that is continuous now for 80 years. That was shortly after the Cincinnati Reds had established lights at Crosley Field to be the first in the major leagues. So you see, in Casey, we were very close to having lights the same time as the major leagues. In 1976, Mo Ashley, Joe Snedeker, and Leroy Staley decided that there should be a museum. at Fairview Park to honor all the men, women, and children who had made Casey such a success. So they built a small museum for a total of $3,000, which has evolved to date into 5 rooms. In 2010, the City of Casey, the museum directors, and the ASA coordinated ongoing maintenance of the Illinois ASA Softball Hall of Fame and Museum. And since that time, there's been over 24,000 people attending or visiting the museum from all 50 states and 24 countries. There are over 4,000 items on display. If a tourist arrived at the museum, the first thing they would see would be a very large bat, compliments of WEIU Corporation. And they would also see a silhouette behind the bat of an umpire and a catcher. And many little children love to have their heads poked through that silhouette and their friend standing at the bat. And people go by and don't even go in the museum at times and still have their picture taken year-round. Now inside, you go through the Illinois ASA Hall of Fame. And there are various pillars all through there with plaques on them of players throughout the state of Illinois. And there's paraphernalia, ball gloves, there's bats, there's trophies, and it's quite festive. The decor is red, white, and blue, and then of course you have your Hall of Fame plaque for all the teams and all the players individually on one wall. As you go into the middle room, you will see the Casey Softball Hall of Honor and more plaques of local people. And in the middle room, you'll see all kinds of paraphernalia and trophies about the Stingers, the Bombers, the Colonels, the Truckers, and all the local really good teams. And I missed Dillier's, a very good team. And then we also have, in one case, all of the softballs that were given to us by the after the first pitch in the countries like Japan, China, Taiwan. When they were trying out for the Olympics, they'd have a first pitch, and they brought them back to Casey, and we got them in the case. Then you go on in the other room, and you'll see the gift shop, and to the left of that is the Warrior room, and they have all the trophies and gloves and uniforms of the high school Warriors and the junior high Braves. And this is quite an attraction to a lot of people. It's not unusual for me to go down to the museum and Mom, Grandma, and the little girl there. I've seen this more than once. And they're looking at all these old high school pictures. And the little girl would say, "Grandma, there you are." And that's what I like. That's what I like. During the time whenever they were signing up for the league, for the Pigtail League, one little girl was kind of late in signing up. And she did manage to get onto a team. As time went on, she became a very good ball player, and she just loved it. But 30 years later, I was at the museum, and this lady came in. That was her. And she said, "I just want to let you know that that was the most wonderful time of my life." She says, "Could I be in the Hall of Fame?" I says, "Yeah, you could be in the Hall of Fame." She says, "Well, let me go get my bat and my socks and all my little paraphernalia, my little shirt." And she went out to the car and got that, and it's on display at the museum right now.
Our story on the Casey paper begins with J.M. Brown, who began publication in 1932. In January 1937, it was purchased by Carl Snyder of Neoga. Not long after that, in February actually, a month later, it was purchased by Mr. and Mrs. Otto Gust of Dietrich. They moved their equipment from Dietrich to Casey, where they published the Special Gazette for 20 years. It was located at 27 South Central in Casey. They printed their first issue on March 11, 1937, And seeing the need for a daily newspaper, a year later in April, Mr. Gus started publishing the Reporter as a daily paper and changed its name to the Casey Daily Reporter. It was the first and only daily paper in Clark County. In 1960, Mr. and Mrs. Scoville Grayhouse purchased the Daily Reporter. He was the son-in-law of Mr. and Mrs. Otto Gust. He and his wife Alice, who was their daughter of course, operated the paper for more than 23 years. In 1969, Mr. and Mrs. Grayhouse purchased the weekly Casey Banner Times, and then they merged the two papers in the circulation lists. In 1975, after 40 years of being in the publishing business, Mr. Grayhouse decided to retire, and he sold it to two young men, Ron Isbell and Jerry McKinney. In November 1976, Mr. Isbell became the sole owner. And the newspaper's office has continued, as I said, to be at 216 South Central. It again changed hands a couple times. They added wire service, comics. They updated with new computerized typesetting equipment and an offset press eventually. It was moved to a couple more locations to where it currently is located at 216 South Central. Community Media Group purchased the paper from Ron Isbell. There were other papers involved in that conglomeration, Marshall and Oakland, and eventually Community Media Group sold their paper to Chris Russell, who in 2014 sold to Gary Strom, who is the current owner. It's gone from broadsheet to tabloid to broadsheet to tabloid throughout the times. It's been free circulation and paid circulation, but it continues to publish on a weekly basis.
I have just always felt that the Reporter is just a must, such a need in our community, and it's so important. It's covered big stories. We have, of course, in the early years, the fire in 1975 that destroyed, I believe it was 5 buildings. The KZ explosion was another important one.
The KZ was a little coffee shop downtown, newsstand, I think they might have called it at one point. Lowell Applegate, who was an alderman, was the owner, and that was a place where people gathered early in the morning, looked at the newspaper, drank coffee before they'd go to work for the day. Lowell had gone down to the basement to light the hot water heater, and there was an explosion. It was a gas leak apparently, and the building just completely was taken down. And I remember the sirens and everybody running, because it's a small town, we're a square mile, I believe, and everybody showed up, and people that were inside that restaurant actually crawled out from under the rubble. And there were some injuries, but Lowell did eventually die from the burns that he received.
We've had several people who had once worked at the Reporter who really went on to do great things. David Hanners, after leaving the Reporter, went on to work for the Dallas Morning News, and he won a Pulitzer Prize for investigative reporting. Jim Worley is an advisor instructor of national award-winning student newspaper for Midland High School in Midland, Michigan. Ted Madden is a sports broadcaster in the Dallas, Texas market. And Greg Bilbrey, Marcy and I both worked with him, and he is the editor, 20-plus year editor of the Robinson Daily News, and he is also now the advisor for the award-winning publication at the high school, The Warrior.
I think that people still trust their local hometown newspaper. They have faith in that. They know that we're not trying to mislead them, we're just trying to serve. We've been fortunate to have really brilliant journalists come through here at times when there were really important stories to be told.
I appreciate the fact that we do cover City Council, we do cover the school board, and people look to us too just for the obituaries.
When I talk about the reliability of local newspapers and that people still believe in what we're writing, it reminds me of our PE teacher in high school who always told us not to believe anything you hear, only half of what you see, and nothing until you've read it in the Daily Reporter.
In 1946, my father, Kermit Patchett, decided he wanted to learn to fly and start an airport. My dad, with a friend of his from Martinsville, Illinois, named Jesse Buckle, bought a glider, rebuilt it, and pulled it behind a Model A Ford with a 30-foot piece of rope to learn to fly. He started the Casey Airport as a little grass runway, and he and several other people graded it, sowed it with grass, and started the airport in 1946. There's been a lot of influential people from Casey that have helped along the way, but my father, Kermit, they called him Kerm, has spent his entire life at the Casey Airport. He started spraying in 1948. When times would be bad, they would run down to Mississippi and he would spray down there. And my dad was a tremendous pilot, and I can remember flying 14 or 15 hours a day in the same field chasing him. I'd get done and I'd be so wore out I couldn't hardly get out of the airplane, and he'd say, "Hey, you want to go for dinner?" And he just loved to fly. He was a natural. He could make an airplane do anything that he wanted it to do. And fortunately, after flying and chasing him for about 18 years in the same field, I'm pretty good at what I do too. I can remember taking kerosene lanterns, putting on the side of the runway so people could land at the airport at night. I can remember the hangars that we built them. They were made out of 2-inch pipe. Hobie Glosser, a friend of Dad's that lived at the very end of the runway, helped build the hangar, and that hangar is still on the airport today. It was built in 1947. The hard surface runway that exists today, the first 2,200 feet was established in 1963, and in 1960, before they did that, Casey Airport designed a not-for-profit organization that has supported this airport for 50-some years. It was called the Casey Airport Boosters, a not-for-profit organization. The original membership fee was $15 a year. Every year we had an annual airplane ride. I can remember carrying as many as 200 or 300 people a day with probably 8 or 10 airplanes that we had at the time with other folks here on the airport. The airport is city-owned, has been since 1964, and the funding is done by the state, federal government, and local. It's got a 4,000-foot runway, which allows small corporate jets to fly in and out. We have a Cessna Citation that is operated out of here. They fly all over the country taking people. Talked to Mike the other day, and he said he went to Orlando, Florida in 2 hours and 14 minutes. So I thought that was pretty fast. When we started out, you looked out the window, and there was a guy standing on the ground with a flag, and when you lined up, he moved over and you flew straight. Today, we have a GPS system in the spray planes that is accurate within 1.5 feet. We traveled at about 60 to 80 mile an hour in the old airplanes. Today, it's 160 to 180 mile an hour airplanes. The original airplane that my dad had, which is a picture of it in there, 1955, he bought a brand new airplane. It cost him $5,500. The 2 airplanes that my son and I own are a little over $700,000 together. So there's a big difference in cost, technology, and all that other stuff. Today, I run Patchett Flying Service, and I've been fortunate enough to have a son, and I've been able to teach him to do what I do, and he is going to be probably better than I am. And my son, who is 28 years old, flies our second spray plane. Been very, very fortunate that the good Lord's not my co-pilot, he's the pilot, I just ride along. So.
The most burgers we ever made in one day was at one of our motorcycle runs, which was on a second Saturday of the month of April. We fixed 3,361. That was a big day. We was all tired. By the time we get all that fixed and done and then cleaned up was a big day. I'm Helen Tuttle. I own Moonshine store. Moonshine started in 1912. I took over in 1982 as the proprietor of it. I've had a good business going, and it's really rolling now. I don't get to run it right now. My 2 daughter-in-laws is running it because I got sick and I've got other things to do before I can go back to work, but I will be back up there. When I first started, I didn't have any idea that I even wanted to go into business or anything, but some lady in the community, well, the lady that owned it, her husband had passed away and she was ready to get rid of it. And a lady in the community called me and asked me if I wanted to buy it, and I said, heavens no, I ain't got any money. But you know, the Lord provides for those where He wants, and He'll put you there. I didn't change a thing that she had. I went up and talked to her, and this is how she done it, and that's about how I done it. I started out with a real little electric grill, one electric grill. It wasn't very long, we had 2, then 3, and then one of the guys in the community went to an auction sale and got a big grill, and that we just keep going like that. Now the girls has got a bigger grill. Well, in fact, they've got 3 of them, haven't you? So it just keeps growing like that. You got to work as the people come. Well, you start out getting up, fixing the hamburgers that morning, making coffee for the guys that come in, and you talk all morning, and then you get busy at noon when they start coming in for sandwiches. We have had Bill Geist from CBS Sunday Morning come and interviewed us. We've had a lot of buses there. We've had a lot of snowmobiles, people from everywhere. We've had horses and what else. We've had everything there. They come and go, you know, word gets around everywhere. Terry Hammond from Cleone, or Martinsville, started a Moonshine lunch run way back about 12 years ago. And a lot of the cycle riders from all over, I mean Alaska, everywhere, comes. And that's second Saturday in April. And they just come and enjoy the whole day. That's a big day for Moonshine, a very big day. We have a whole lot more workers that day, but we have fun too. On a typical day, we'll have 200 to 1,000 hamburgers, give or take, more or less. Well, on a busy day when everybody's there, it's something that everybody needs to see because the atmosphere is so great, and it's not anything that we do, it's just the atmosphere of everybody that's there. You come in, you visit, you go outside, sit at the picnic tables or whatever, eat and whatever. And you may even meet your best friend or your neighbor there because they're, you know, they just come and go and you don't know who's going to show up. A lot of people says the hamburgers are the best in the world. I don't take any credit for that. The only thing that we can say is that each one of them is God blessed. When God has His hands in things, it's so much better. In the mornings for coffee or even at noon, we just put money on the counter so much, and if we're not up there, people throw their money down or they make their own change off the counter. When Bill Geist was there, he couldn't imagine that. He said, "What's this?" And I said, "That's the honest money. You pay for your own coffee, throw it down or whatever." He said, "You wouldn't do that in my neighborhood." And I said, "Well, this is a different community right here." And most people are honest when they see everybody else doing. One thing is that our opening time is at 6 and we close at 12:30. A lot of people come after 12:30 and they can't see why they can't have a hamburger. Well, you know, we're like Walmart. There's a closing time and ours is 12:30. Well, you're out here in the middle of nowhere. How do you find us? You know, or how do you have this many people here? Because nobody knows where you are. I just tell them, follow the car in front of you. Because most of the time that's where they're going. It's just a big building on the corner. You come to that, it says Moonshine Store in the front. Welcome. And that's what we mean, welcome. Make yourself at home.
And we're back live at WEIU, and the phones are already starting.
I bet it's because of the Moonshine story.
It might be. You know what? We've got a challenge.
Yes.
We're going to put a challenge out there. If you have eaten a Moonburger, or if you've been to Moonshine, you give us a call tonight.
Somebody else said if you've got lost going to Moonshine, give us a call tonight.
Raise your hand.
Yeah. Helen was the sweetest woman. I wish she could have come tonight, but I know if you've gone to Moonshine, you've met Helen. And I love it when she said, every hamburger is God blessed.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yes,
man.
I think they are, because you know what? There's a lot of people that eat them, so hey.
They sure are.
There's a lot of people calling in and getting DVDs tonight as well.
Yes.
So if you want to call in, one copy is $75, 2 or more are $60 each, and we've got some more people calling, so keep those phones ringing.
We're going to do some thank yous, but let's get a phone blitz going. There's nothing more fun than having everybody on the phone,
yeah,
okay?
and we haven't had that yet, but
So let's
this is
you
the
make it
third
happen.
break.
So I want to thank Dave from Casey, Danny from Casey. A lot of Casey people. Wonder what's up with that.
I don't know. It's all about Casey tonight, I think.
Darlene from Winthrop.
I think so.
Okay, and I'm not sure where that is, but Darlene, thank you so much for calling. Frank from Casey. Who do you have?
I have Martha from Casey, Nancy from Effingham, Bethany from Casey, and Marcy from Casey, and Fred from Casey.
Hey!
Casey.
Now, Frank from Casey wanted to make sure we knew that he wanted 3 DVDs.
Oh, well,
So,
okay, that's all right.
If you want to beat Fred, then you need to call and
Yes.
get 4.
Now, you know what? Someone mentioned to me earlier, what if someone doesn't want a DVD? Well, you don't have to have a DVD, and if
Right.
you just want to give and you want to give your best gift, then you can do that too.
Right.
But we have these DVDs, and we're offering them to our viewers tonight. So if you want to give just to give, that's your option as well.
And somebody else called and said, "What will I get one like tomorrow?" And I said, we're going to air the program throughout the weekend, and then we'll tally our numbers, and then we'll get them ordered. So we'll have them probably to you within 2 weeks.
Yes, we will. So let's see. We've got quite a few phones standing by for you, and it's really hard to hear in here. So we want you to keep calling. But if the operators have a
give a
hard
shout
time
out?
hearing you, you just talk as loud as you can. You keep calling in for those DVDs.
Okay, Alice from Casey. Alice, thank you for calling. I just got your name, so you'll probably get another shout out. But thank you. People like Alice, you're doing what we love. You're going to the phone, you've enjoyed the program, and you say, you know, I want to support the PBS station, WEIU, that makes great programming like Casey. This is our story.
We've got great program for you tonight. We've got lots of good stories. The Community Christian Toy Fund was told by my Uncle Eddie, and I'm going to talk to him as soon as he gets off the phone tonight.
That was a tearjerker.
It was, and I've heard a lot of people talk about that. The softball capital, everybody knows that softball is a big deal in Casey.
That was a good one, too. The reporter by Marcy and Sharon, and they were just here, and they had to leave. We're sad that they left us because they were having fun.
Yeah, they were having fun. And the Larry Patchett story, the Casey Municipal Airport, some great footage was turned into us by his son, so we appreciate that as well. So we've got lots more stories coming your way, but right now what we're doing is asking you to give us a call and tell us how much you appreciate these storytellers stepping up to give stories about Casey.
You know, we talk about, you know, why should you donate $75 for a DVD? Well, you have to understand this isn't a program that just anybody would come and do for Casey. It's because we're a public broadcasting station. That's what we're supposed to do, is connect with communities, connect with the people in the communities, and preserve history. And that's what we're doing by partnering with Casey.
That's exactly what we're doing, and the storytellers are doing it. Just like Lois Dell told you earlier, her and Joyce Skinner wrote a book, and they've shared a lot of their photos throughout the stories that a number of these people have told tonight. Bernie Morgan has told a lot of stories and got a lot of the storytellers on board.
Sure.
If you know Bernie, if you ever shopped in Arnott's, let's just put that out there for a lot of people who are from my area. You know what? We want you to give us a call tonight.
You know, when we think about you calling, think about holidays coming up, Mother's Day, Easter, Father's
that'd be
Day.
great.
This is a great opportunity if you're watching this and you know someone who would appreciate a DVD of this program. This is an heirloom quality DVD. We are recording the history of Casey told by the people that live there.
Yay! We hear some yays and some bells in the back. That's awesome.
We'll give some more shout outs here in a minute, but if you're watching tonight and you haven't called, please give us a call right now. We'd like to get all the phones ringing. That's when it gets super exciting.
It is exciting. We just showed the canvas down here of Moonshine. We just told the story from Helen Tuttle about the Moonshine store and the burgers there. Some more stories that are coming up.
Sure.
Let's talk about those for a moment.
Sure.
Dan Smith and the 9/11 Memorial. It's a very emotional story told by Duska.
And can I give a shout out to Duska?
Yes.
She wasn't able to be here tonight, so Duska, we're thinking about you and your family, and we're excited for other people to be able to watch the story that you told.
Let me give a shout out to her sister as well. She was in my class in Casey. Danelle, thank you for being a part. You're in this story as well, and we honor your family tonight through your dad's story. I'll tell you what we're going to do here in just a moment. I've got my uncle over here that we're going to talk to, Ed Richardson, and I'm going to talk to him here for just a second about your toy story, the Community Christian Toy Fund. And I think you've had a lot of people in tears tonight over that.
It's quite a story. I'll tell you, we've done this for years and years, like 31 years, and we have went to many, many, many houses, and we've had tears every time we go.
Yeah.
And I am the little guy in the red coat every time I go. And so I did it for 31 years.
Yeah.
And so we got 2 other guys now, Bob Brown and the Methodist preacher went with us this year. And so we have a great time. And you went with us many times.
I did. And I was actually in your story, Tara, my
Right.
cousin, your daughter.
My daughter Tara was in there.
Yeah. So lots of good that you're doing in the community, and lots of good has been done throughout the years. So real tearjerker. It meant a lot to you to tell that story, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it's tough, but I won't ever forget that.
won't.
That's the reason we keep doing it. And I feel that if God wasn't behind us, we would have failed 31 years ago. So.
Yeah, but he's still with you, and he still keeps those
yes.
toys coming and the community supporting. So
Right, definitely.
we thank you for telling that story. My Uncle Eddie and I shared some tears throughout that production, and I'm so glad that you told that story. I want to come around and give you a hug, and then I'm going to throw it to Jana, okay?
Okay.
I'm here with John, and he is like a superstar with WKZI.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far.
Well, let's talk a little bit about WKZI.
Okay. I think probably the biggest thing that happened was when, of course, I started out there as a disc jockey, and then to come back in the early 80s and buy the station, which was really neat. And some of the things that we did to give back to the community, I'll never forget one evening, it was and actually we had a tornado warning in Casey. And I happened to be at the station, so I was on the air reading the things that to take cover and all of that. And you don't know who's listening, but I'll never forget the next day, Mrs. Main, one of the teachers, she said, "John, it was so comforting just to hear you to tell me, keep calm."
Wow.
During all of that. So that some of the things that we did for the community.
That's awesome. I think about WKZI, and the one thing I remember as a child growing up, my dad always had country music on. And every station in our car, the button was the WKZI. At the time, I didn't appreciate the WKZI because it was being forced on us. But you know what? It gave me a true love for country music. So I thank WKZI for playing the great music. Kian, back to you.
Thank you.
And we thank all of you for calling in tonight. The phones got a little bit quiet when we went to the interviews, I think because you wanted to hear what we were talking about. But now you can get those phones ringing again.
Let's see, we've got, there's 9 phones
they're
available.
quiet right now.
They're not 9, there's 7 phones available. So right now, who's going to be the next person to give us the call? Let's get the phones going again. That gets us excited.
We haven't had a phone blitz, so if you want to get us super excited tonight, that's what you got to do. You got to get all the phones ringing at once.
Now, if you've been watching all night and you haven't called, please don't miss this opportunity to support WEIU, but to also support the storytellers and this great town of Casey.
We have a few more stories coming your way after this break. Let me give you a little into right here. We've got Bullen Enterprises, WKZI, Casey Lions Club, and how they got the lioness. That was a really interesting story.
Yeah.
And Mo wasn't here with us. I don't know if he snuck in the other room. He may still be here. And Stiffle Hardware, which is a really cool story too.
Think about how many people have been to these places, been a part of the Lions Club, who have been in the Stiffle. We went there, and I love that store.
Stiffle's Hardware?
Stiffle's Hardware.
Yeah, it's the longest
neat.
running local business in town.
Is there anyone out there right now that you have not called, and don't miss this opportunity? Crystal's on the phone, and we want you to call right now. The number is on your screen, and DVD 1 is $75, or if you want to get 2, that's the best deal, $420.
That's right. 2 or more, $60 each. So if you are just tuning in by chance, you are flipping through, you just caught us. This is Casey. This is our story. We're on satellite, we're over the air, we're on cable, and we're also streaming. If you're having a problem watching us on streaming, make sure you have Adobe Flash Player and share it with your friends and your family all across social media. Keep those phones ringing. We're in here all evening long, so don't go anywhere. This is Casey. This is our story.